Welcome to the Pillar Podcast, where we put racial equity front and center. Join us as we dissect equity policy, overcoming achievement gaps, and strategies that ensure equitable learning opportunities, experiences, and outcomes for all students.
Welcome to another episode of the Pillar Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Brandon, and today I have with me a consistent, reliable, thorough, all the good things above guest, Dr. Shawna Stenton, the SBDM specialist with Diversity, Equity, and Poverty.
Hey, Ian.
How
it's
are you,
nice
Shawna?
to be here. Thank you. I'm doing wonderful. It's Friday and the sun is shining and it's unusually warm for a winter, so I'll take it.
You know, it's something about this Kentucky weather. You have sunshine, you've got rain, you've got cold, windy, all in the same week.
Exactly.
It's confusing.
If you don't like the weather, stick around because it's going to change.
It is confusing. Well, thank you again for joining me this year. Just like I always say, let's jump right in here.
Sounds great to me. Thank you.
So with various support groups that support our schools and families, can you describe the difference between an advisory leadership team versus a school-based decision-making council?
Absolutely. So, Ian, they're very similar. In Jefferson County, we pretty much treat our advisory leadership teams, or an ALT, as a full SBDM council, except there are a few minor differences. The first difference is that there's no principal selection. So with a full SBDM council, should there be a vacancy in the position of principal, they would go through a process and ultimately make a recommendation to the superintendent, who would then accept or reject the council's recommendation. When it comes to advisory leadership teams, they're involved in the process in that the assistant superintendent sends out surveys to all stakeholders, but that's really where their participation begins and ends. So ALTs do not select the principal. Another thing is that they're not required to get training. However, in Jefferson County, with the exception of principals, let me correct that, all of our principals who serve in schools that have advisory leadership teams or full SBDM councils are required to complete the annual 3-hour training. However, their other members, so their parents and their staff members, are not required to get the training. However, Ian, the bulk of them do.
Okay.
So it's good practice.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if you want to be effective, you need to know what you're doing and know what your responsibilities are. Another difference is that there's no consultation. So with a full decision-making council, prior to hiring, the council will be consulted by the principal after the interview process before the principal submits the recommendation to HR and ultimately to the superintendent. That does not occur with an advisory leadership team. And the final thing, and the biggest thing, is that all of the decisions of an advisory leadership team are simply recommendations to the assistant superintendent, who accepts or rejects those based on the superintendent's wishes. So, but really, we treat them as if they're full decision making.
Okay.
It's budget season right now, so is the supervisor of an advisory leadership team going to say, no, that's not the budget you're going to pass, you're going to do this instead? No, that's not the type of leader he is. However, could he? Yes, he could. So that's really the main differences between the councils, but they are, and the advisory leadership teams, but they are very similar.
With the recommendations, is there a period? Let's say a recommendation gets rejected. Mm-hmm. Is there a window of opportunity to resubmit with contingency, or if it's either accepted or rejected?
Ian, I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because it's never happened before. Like I said, I make no guarantees, but like I said, there are recommendations, and it's unusual, actually unheard of, for an assistant sup to say no. However, so let's say, hypothetically speaking, a school sends their budget forward, and it's an advisory leadership team, and it goes and it's reviewed by by the assistant superintendent who says, no, you're not using your money correctly. They could very quickly meet again. My hope would be that the assistant superintendent would then meet with the council or the advisory leadership team to discuss the proposed changes. But really, they're not going to go off the rails. You got to think about, these are smart people. These are people who are truly vested. You've got smart principals, smart parents, and smart staff members who are serving. So they're gonna make some good decisions.
What are some of the characteristics that make a strong SBDM council?
Well, I would begin with full participation. So you have full participation by all role groups. SBDM councils and advisory leadership teams are usually one principal, two parents, and three teachers. And so guaranteeing their full participation is important. And so really it's going to be those parent positions, making sure that the parents are present at all of the meetings, and that you work with the parents and around their schedule to ensure that they can be there and that they can participate. We also need the leader to model a good decision-making, to provide the council members with all of the information that they need to make an informed decision. And a lot of times, Ian, that's just giving them the information that they need in order to participate in the meeting. So if you are going to present the budget, a lot of the principals will have themselves or an AP or a budget chair will create a slideshow or a slide deck, and they will provide that ahead of time so people can take a look at the information that's being presented to them. When you think about policy development, sending those policies out to council members ahead of time to get their thoughts so I can look at it on my own if I have time, and we're not going to a meeting where all we're doing is just reading. And so making sure everybody gets the information they need in order to make informed decisions.
Now, I would assume a strong SBDM council would yield a better culture and climate, a more efficient schoolhouse.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because you think about it, that's modeling it. The shared decision making. And I'm glad you brought that up, because we do have some of our schools that have students on their SBDM councils. And that's a nice thing. We've got one of our it's a school that has K through 12. They have one middle school representative and one high school representative. And then we have a couple of our high schools who will add one or two additional student members to the council. And that's a great way to show the importance of shared decision making.
We as district leaders and look for support on the ground, right? We're not directly in the schoolhouse. So a lot of things that we issue out, obviously we're relying on a lot of support. How do principals get more support from their council members?
That's a good one. How do they get more support from their council members? I would say it begins with taking initiative and having the principal empower those council members. So, for example, you will have parent council members who will attend PTA meetings, and at those PTA meetings they'll discuss things that are discussed at the council meeting, and conversely you'll have PTA members, like a PTA president, that will attend council meetings, and at those council meetings they're able to provide updates, and so just to bridge the gap between. So that's a way you can with the parents. But then when we talk about staff members, having them be committee chairs, we certainly don't want to overwork them, but giving them those leadership opportunities, that if they are on the council, they want leadership opportunities. And so just giving them those opportunities is effective.
It's important and needed, and to me appears to be very hands-on and engaging, right?
Absolutely, it should be.
We look to engage with our families and communities quite often, but sometimes that can be difficult. When engaging with families, how can we over communicate the goals and expectations and just what we need at the schoolhouse level? How can we engage our families better?
Absolutely. So when it comes to council work, a lot of it is letting our families know when the council meets and what they're going to be discussing. So providing an agenda ahead of time, letting parents know when and the community know when our council is meeting, and work with them to ensure that they know it's an open place where they can provide feedback to the council in order to improve student achievement at the school level.
And if, let's say, a parent or guardian is looking to get involved with either a leadership team or a SBDM council, what sort of things should they be looking for? What factors do they need to consider? How do they prepare themselves for this type of engagement?
Absolutely. So of course, they're going to want to see what they have time and opportunities. So sometimes we work too much, we've got too much going on at home, and so you really need to first decide as a parent what you can give. And just because you can't necessarily attend a once-a-month meeting face-to-face at the school doesn't mean that you can't participate in other ways. So for example, I am, in my position as the SBDM specialist, I'm legally ineligible to serve on the SBDM council. However, I have a son who attends a JCPS school, he's in high school here. I'm on their school safety committee. So that's a way that I'm engaged, even though I don't have the time to serve, or I'm not eligible to serve on the council. But this meeting is an hour a month, it's virtual, it's nice, and it's just something that I feel like I provide value to it. And so that would be a way that I would certainly encourage their family members to participate, is through the school council committees. And your PTA, reach out and see, how can I participate? We all have gifts to give, and so I think it's important that we reach out and say, hey, I may not be able to do this, but I can do this, and see what you could do.
Question regarding policy. The district operates on a number of policies, just as one could imagine, but are we up for any policy renewals? And if so, what types of policies, required or non, have had changes, or do you foresee upcoming changes?
Okay, so we're in a legislative session. We've got until mid-April. So right now I'm just monitoring. So when it comes to our standard sample policies that we provide schools, we do review those once a year. So after the legislative session concludes, we'll make updates, and then I'll send those policies to the experts in those areas. And then after that, we'll send them materials production and get them working. If there are major changes to the law, we will create sample policies and we will send those out to the principals. So for example, right now, there's there is a discussion about a potential law that would require SBDM councils to have a policy that gives students 30-minute lunches. Okay, so if that occurs, it's not the legislator saying all schools must have 30-minute lunches. They're saying all councils must have a policy that says that the school has 30-minute lunches. So if that occurs, if it is an emergency provision, we will immediately communicate that information to our councils and to our principals. We'll have samples ready, we'll have everything, but most of the time it's going to be a provision that occurs over the summer. So where it goes into law during the summer, and so our councils will work in the fall to update their policies to reflect that. So really, when it comes to the law, there's a lot of potential changes, but we'll see. We'll see if any of them happen. But so often it is simply, rather than saying, all schools must do this, they'll say the councils must create a policy that says all schools do this.
Gotcha. And this is, I don't know, this is to me very robust. It's very, I don't know if convoluted is the right word I want to use, but there's a lot of legality, obviously, within a district. Are there any connections between SBDM policies that are in existence or already, that are in existence or a potential, how do school policies align with overall district policies?
The law says they have to.
Gotcha.
So it's very simple. It says that the school council policies must be consistent with Board of Education policies. So yeah, and we check and we make sure all of our sample policies do, and I review all of our policies as they come in, just to make sure there's nothing that kind of goes off the rail. And of course, we're in a school, and so you're going to hear that.
Gonna hear.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, you gotta love the schoolhouse, right? Mm-hmm. So, as we're on the conversation of policies, I want to stay along this track for a couple minutes here. There have been a number of state legislative bills to hit the airwaves as of recent, specifically Senate Bill 93, Senate Bill 6, House Bill 208, etc. I want to spend a couple minutes on Senate Bill 93. And for those that may not be fully aware of the bill or what the bill means, it is a new law that prohibits local school districts from providing any program, trainings, or activities that advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. Trauma-informed approaches, current school safety laws, etc. This is a pretty big deal, and my question to you is, if a SBDM council member or member of an advisory team is in support of or not in support of a bill such as Senate Bill 93, how can they get engaged in the conversation? Are there any best practices? What should one do?
First thing they need to do is educate themselves so that they're aware of the laws, the potential laws, and how quickly they can become reality. When it comes to our councils, I'm always hesitant to provide any advice on pending laws, simply because that's the role of the Board of Education. So you'll see that they have a legislative agenda and they handle that. So I really don't, my hands are tied in terms of communicating a lot of information. However, the districts are not, because nobody wants to know Shawna Stenton's opinion on this legislation. But I do stay in contact with our lobbyists and various people who are working in Frankfurt, and they'll reach out to me and say, hey, how is this going to impact? What do you think? And they do ask my opinion, and I do offer it. But it hurts my heart so often when a law will pass and it becomes law, and then we're sending these policies out, and everybody's like, well, hold on, we didn't know this happened. So for example, last year there was a law that went into effect that required all of our councils to have to include what I call anti-trans language in it, and our board was not pleased with that either. But it's the law.
It's the law,
and
yes.
that's it's the law, and you can't defy the law. But what you can do is come up with ways to ensure that our marginalized students get the support they need in order to be successful. So in that case, it was our trans students. And so that was really the conversation that occurred. Now, I did have a couple of councils who flat out refused to include that language in the law and that, or in their policy, and that's absolutely fine. But Ian, it's still the law. They still have to follow the law, and they still have to follow all the guidance guidance in terms of use of restroom facilities with transgender students. So really educate yourself. There will be guidance coming out from JCPS, I believe, in terms of this proposed legislation. And I had someone who, a lobbyist, told me once when I had asked her about the legislature and how all of a sudden they appeared to be pursuing our transgender students. And it kind of hit me from out of nowhere. And she said to me, so goes Florida, so goes the South. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And she said, if you want to know where things are going, you watch Florida. And that eventually will eke its way into Kentucky. And so I think if you look historically, where did this generate? It came from Florida. Yeah. And there are going to be so many impacts. If you look at our sample policies, racial equity is intertwined throughout. Again, I love being in a school. Racial equity is entwined throughout. So, for example, our sample consultation policy for hiring, as well as our principal selection policy, both include language that that provides members with the opportunity to interview a diverse slate of candidates, and we're talking about racial diversity here. And it also provides the requirement that the interview committees, in and of themselves, contain diversity. Now, the council, by law, any schools that have 8% or more minority student population must have minority council member. That's every school in Jefferson County. We're a majority minority district, so all of our schools have minority representation. But we need more. And we even have some schools that have the entire council is minority, and that's absolutely fine and absolutely legal. So I worry about that language that goes throughout the policies. I also worry about what will happen with the racial equity analysis protocol, or the REAP.
The REAP,
because the REAP is simply a series of questions that council members discuss in order to tease out any inequities. So we send all of our district sample policies through the REAP, but just because Stenton School District does not have, just because Stenton School District didn't locate any inequities doesn't mean that Ian Brandon Elementary School might locate some inequities. So it's important that they do that, and we need to be discussing this.
We do. A lot of not just work within DEP, but just, I would say, the district as a whole. Some work may not be quote unquote classified as diversity work, but essentially that's really what the goal is, right? We're seeking to be more inclusive, having more representation, and although within DEP the primary focus is for Black and brown students, that does not mean others are excluded or not important or not valued or not having their interests met. I think that's a big misconception, I personally think, is within the community. But when we speak about marginalized students, oftentimes there is a lack of, I would say, knowledge on how to advocate for yourself, right? How can we as leaders, as educators, parents or guardians, how can we advocate or push for our students to advocate for themselves?
I think starting off, I would add student council members at the middle and high school level, because they live the experience. I think about how much I learn from my son about what he says about school and his experience. So I think if we begin by including students in the conversation, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be just the council that adds students, it can be just talking to our kids about real world issues.
Yeah, because I think oftentimes we kind of forget how intelligent, aware, self-aware, culturally aware, just our students can be. And I think oftentimes we, as adults, can kind of push to the back burner a child's thought and perspective. Not always the best thing.
No,
right?
not at all.
Some of us have been removed from the schoolhouse and I would say adolescent issues and problems more than others. But to them, that's their reality. That's the world that they live in. They're living in it daily, so their voice definitely matters.
Absolutely. You think about like the 30-minute lunch. When I received the email asking me my opinion on that, I thought, this really should be the kids that are answering this. Is 20 minutes enough time to eat? Is it enough time to get through the line?
Right,
And
yeah.
talking to our nutrition service workers, and I don't know. I just felt like they would be the ones that would be able to respond to that and to be
Yeah.
able to tell us, and because they would know too. My assumption is, I don't know if it's correct or not, that if we add 10 minutes to lunch, we're adding 10 minutes to the instructional day.
Yeah.
So kind of asking kids, okay, Ian, you're at, we're at Shawnee High School. Would you prefer a 30-minute lunch and then to get out of school 10 minutes later or go 10 minutes earlier? Or would you prefer a 20-minute lunch? And it varies too. I think at our middle and high schools, they're a little more lenient as far as letting kids snack and things like that. But yeah, so, ask them, see what they say.
I know when I was a student, I always felt like lunch was not long enough.
I did too. You couldn't make it through the line.
No, by the time you sat down, took your first bite, it was, all right, it's time to clean up.
Yeah.
But I think when you position the opportunity to extend lunch with the caveat of your day will be 10 minutes longer, I think for some that changes things.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
sounds, 30 minutes, but what? No, wait, 10 minutes more of school. 20 minutes is fine.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, I know we do have additional, and JCPS, we go to school more minutes than we're legally required to, so it could be a non-issue with us. But just to be sure, that might be something that we'll need to look into.
Yeah. Well, Shawna, as always, it has been a pleasure. I always feel smarter when you're in the room.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Ian.
You are one of the most organized people I've ever met. Like, you're on top of it. I genuinely mean that. Like,
I have
you're
to
on
for
top
my
of it.
job. I
You're on
have
top
to.
of it. But we appreciate you, and I appreciate you, and thank you again.
Thanks, Ian. Have a great weekend.
Welcome to the Pillar Podcast, where we put racial equity front and center. Join us as we dissect equity policy, overcoming achievement gaps, and strategies that ensure equitable learning opportunities, experiences, and outcomes for all students.
Welcome to the Pillar Podcast. I'm your host, Ian Brandon, the Satellite Office Supervisor, and today I have some young men with me from the Grandmasters program, which is a program sponsored and promoted by the Diversity, Equity, and Poverty Division of Jefferson County Public Schools, led by Mr. Greg Van. Grandmasters is a program that promotes self-love, foresight, discipline, resilience, and empathy. Grandmaster is the highest class of a chess player, and the term also stems from the medieval times and is rooted in things such as courage, honor, courtesy, justice, and the readiness to help the weak. I love that. Today I have with me 4 young gentlemen. I will let them introduce themselves.
My name's Lavon Parker. I'm 15. I go to Marion T. Moore, and I play football. One thing about me, I'm a very positive guy. I like to give people advice and stuff like that, so yeah.
I'm DJ. Y'all can call me Damari Bickham. That's my full name. I'm a senior, heading to Fairdale. One thing about me, I'm tall, real tall.
How tall are you?
6'5", 6'4", maybe. I need to check, you know what I'm saying? Bring back the facts.
My name's Quantrell. People call me Q or Trell. I go to PRP, play football, wrestle, and track.
My name is George Thompson. I'm 15. I go to Butler. One thing about me is, for whatever reason, my birthday is in 9 days, and my voice is still high pitched, and it's just annoying because I still sound like a girl a little bit. But about to be 16. Like to play basketball. I'm still trash at it, but
That's all right. We got some athletes, right? And it's okay on the voice piece, man. We all grow at our own different paces. We are different individuals, and that's what makes you you.
Yeah, man.
Right? Like,
Yep.
And nobody really sounds like you sound different to yourself than you sound to other people, right? Like, I know my voice doesn't sound to you like it sounds to me.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the kind of talking about.
Yeah. So, man, living your truth. It's who you are. That's gonna take you places. I used to hoop too. I played at Ballard and I played at Wagner. So I'm a little biased on the basketball.
Oh, really?
I played football 1 year at Ballard. It was cool, but you know,
You like basketball better?
Definitely. I played basketball my entire life. Soccer, half my life.
Soccer?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I was forward, striker. Yeah.
I'm kind of an athletic person. I'll play anything. I'll play football, soccer. Once upon a time I played baseball, but baseball, that was like back when I didn't even know like sports was like even my thing before I got older. So I remember one time I picked up a basketball and played a game with a bunch of losers. I was like, oh snap, I really like basketball.
You like that?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But.
Well, you got the hype for it, man.
Anybody listening to this right now, our first game is August 18th.
Okay.
At Shawnee.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
We play y'all,
Check this,
so
yeah.
if y'all want to come and show love or hate, we here for it.
I'm gonna definitely come check you out.
I'm
Absolutely,
gonna be
man.
there.
Yeah.
Hope y'all not
absolutely.
playing in that court with the thing.
A little bump in the court.
Oh yeah, I hope they fix that.
Okay.
They gotta fix that.
Yeah.
Because there's a
I'm
bump
gonna
in
check
the
you
court in
out.
Shawnee. That's not good.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about your experience over the last couple weeks here at Shawnee. So as students, you obviously it's your summer break, right? You've had the option to either enjoy your summer relaxing, chilling, hanging out, doing what you do, or not. and clearly you've chosen to not. So, what made you all want to participate in Grandmasters?
At first, I didn't know what it was. My mom was in the car, and she was like, "You want to go to this camp?" I'm like, "What's it for?" Because the last camp I went to was boring.
Okay.
But I came here, and the first day I learned how to do spades. So after that, I actually thought it was going to be a great experience.
For me, I'm gonna be 100%. This is my first camp I ever went to. It's my first camp, and my mom told me that you trying to go to this camp, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really do stuff on my weekends. You know what I'm saying? I don't like doing that on my weekends, but I guess I kept an open mind. But I'm glad I did because I really liked this camp. This camp was really good. I learned some new things, got some new qualities in me. You know what I'm saying? Some things I didn't even know I had in myself, and I respect it. I'm glad I did it.
For me, this is my first week. I wasn't here previously, but since I've been here, I like it a lot. Because before this, I was just in the house doing nothing. Relax when I'm outside of football practice. That was it.
Pretty much it.
So my mama, she forced me, but I still went because just not doing anything in the summer, it's kind of lame, and I could be doing a whole lot of other stuff instead of just being home doing stuff on the computer, playing games and watching YouTube. So I just went out to the program.
Yeah. Man, that's one, I'm telling you, man, that's one thing as an adult, I know looking back, like, it's the off time where you gain your momentum. Y'all know from athletes, right? You can tell who is putting work in over the summer. Like, it's evident. It's evident.
Yeah, we recently, I think it was, what's that, Thursday? We had Monday, we had a conditioning test. I passed, of course, but it was half the team literally didn't even pass.
Yeah.
It just shows who really wants it and who doesn't.
But it's great y'all showing an open mind and willing to get out and do things different, man, because that's truly where the growth in life happens, man. While other people at home just kind of chilling, you know, which that's okay too. You need some downtime, some R&R, rest and recovery, but at the same time, you got to push yourself too. You know?
Yeah, man. Like for one thing, like you said before, having an open mind. Like, yeah, I had an open mind, but I want to thank y'all for doing this too, because that's something that like y'all was out there doing stuff and everything like that, and then y'all just gonna call some people in, you know, just y'all just thought outside the box, and I want to respect that, because like I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for y'all thinking out like doing something for over the summer. So I want to thank y'all for that, you know.
Well, we appreciate that, man. I mean, we're definitely here for you all, man, and y'all are our focus. So, at the start of the camp, you met new people, met new teachers. Did you all do any affirmations, or did you have any anything that kind of brought you all together, setting some norms, establishing some rules, kind of what the camp was going to be like, or the program was going to be like?
I think when we all came together was it the second or third day. We all went outside and played like these games. One of them's called Pterodactyl. The other one is called what's the other one called? Where you gotta like follow the leader or something like that.
Something captain.
And it was like a real fun day. Everybody was laughing, so I feel like that really brought us together.
That really brought us together. That was probably the biggest thing for us guys and girls, because we was all together, all of us. We was all talking, and that was really fun. That was really good.
Well, I wish I was there, but I wasn't there. But when we played that game, we gotta call the number, and then we gotta remember your number.
That
was
fun.
fun.
King? That's what it's called.
King.
Yeah, King.
That was fun.
That was cool. Yeah.
So my initials of the program I was hoping that it wasn't gonna be just like a regular, typical, boring program like 2021, and it wasn't. Because I remember back in 2021, we went to this little business thing. It was downtown, and it was just boring. We just sat in there on Chromebooks and did really nothing all day. But here, go outside, do all kinds of stuff, eat good food, and
Don't forget the good food, man.
Yeah.
Y'all be eating good.
Oh, we be eating good.
So to your point, right? Y'all weren't just in the satellite office here at Shawnee.
Not at all.
Y'all got out, did some trips. I know one experience you all had was the Roots 101.
Can I expand on that?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Roots
I wanna know about
101, I really liked that field trip. Has got to be the coolest field trip. It was like, and it was like right at the beginning too. So we was right into it. Like as soon as we got there, it was like I think it was the day of my birthday too. That was crazy. And we talked about like our brothers back, like our ancestors and stuff like that for our black people and stuff like that. It was really good. I really liked how they elaborated on some things. I saw some pretty cool things, and it made me respect myself and my ancestors and my blood brothers, black people, you know what I'm saying? So it just made me, like, open my mind even more to different people and how I gotta respect, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was really good field trip, really engaging, and learned a lot of new things.
What about you had a visitor, a councilman, I think, came and spoke to you all. Councilman Jacoby Arthur. You remember that?
We had a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people come.
Yeah, quite a lot of people.
What about Phenomenal Red? Y'all remember that?
Oh, that
Yeah.
right there.
Remember
Steve
Phenomenal
Best.
Red?
Oh yeah.
They cheated in tug of war. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
They cheated.
Talk to me a little bit about that experience with Phenomenal Red. How was that?
She's a lady and got 2 world records, which is in like lifting weights, and that's crazy because you think about a lady, you think she's gonna be a girly girl and not like how she is, and she's cool.
Yeah, she benched, what was it, 317?
Yeah.
Squat.
Oh yeah, 580.
Yeah, 580
580
something.
That's crazy. I've seen people do that, but like, and then like,
Yeah.
when every time I see it, it's crazy. Like, that's a lot of weight on your back.
Yeah.
That just shows to go out like anything is possible. Never undermine yourself, and like you can achieve big things in life. So,
I know one, I would say, curveball that you probably didn't expect was the visitors you had from Memphis.
Oh,
Yeah.
We didn't
no,
expect.
did
I
not
didn't.
see that
You didn't
coming
expect
at
that,
all.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't a bad thing though.
Yeah.
It was a cool visit.
Yeah. So that group, the organization is called Peer Power, right?
Yeah.
So I know they did some, common ground exercises, some icebreakers, but it was also educational as well, right?
Oh yeah.
One of you want to talk a little bit about that experience?
So what happened really over like that? I think it was like over those 2 days. We talked about like ACT stuff like that. Things you can learn to help you better yourself during the ACT test. And besides that, it wasn't all about learning. You know what I'm saying? Like it had its learning aspects, but it wasn't just about that. We was out there doing icebreakers, doing all kinds of things. We was what was one of the things we did?
Shabuya.
Shabuya, yeah. That. Me personally, I'm not gonna rap it, so I just didn't like it. But it was still fun coming with some people that I ain't know like did anything, but it was still cool coming up with them and talking and stuff like that. It was awesome. I had fun.
We also talked about like healthy relationships and stuff like that. Like, what do you think in a relationship is supposed to be healthy or toxic?
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that's important too. You talk about relationship building, becoming more self-aware, being more empathetic, having more discipline, right? Because it takes discipline to open yourself up, right? It takes discipline to welcome somebody into your space. It takes discipline to continuously do that in a positive light, right? Because we all know, not everybody has the best intentions, and just as you talk about building relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic, right? Sometimes you can get hurt in relationships, and that can kind of create a barrier for you to establish another relationship.
Yeah.
So it takes discipline to understand and recognize not everybody is the same.
I was gonna say the same thing. You know, everybody's the same in their own way. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own way to cope with relationships and stuff like that, and building relationships, building communications with other people. It can really it can do more than just you broke. Like, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking. It can do more than just sweet things.
I was doing the same thing today, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay, so this generation is different. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but that just it's kind of like immature. Like, people think being toxic is cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
Or funny, and it's not.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I'm not that much older than you all, but I think what a big part of it is social media. Social media is much more prevalent in you guys' generation than it was for myself. Like, we had it, but how you guys engage and interact on social media, we were forced to do that in person, right? So again, it takes a little bit more resilience when you're forced to be in the same space with someone. You just can't log out of something, or quit this chat or get out of this group.
Block.
Block people.
You gotta block. You can't really block somebody that's in the same space as you, right?
Yeah. The biggest thing about social media, though, like without what you said, you can talk to people and stuff like that. It's more engaging that way. But when you go on social media, it's more than just saying, you blocked or something like that. You can meet a lot of people that can really help you too.
Yeah.
But sometimes social media, it has its dark sides. You know what I'm saying?
So talk to me about your classroom experience. I know you guys did a lot with the Girls in Becoming, but when you were when it was just you guys grandmasters with your teachers, if there's a specific teacher you want to kind of highlight, or something memorable from your one-on-one time while you were in the classroom.
I think all three of my teachers were great. Mr. Ashford, Mr. Brooks, Mr. Mays. One thing that stuck out to me was double consciousness and temptations. So basically, for double consciousness, we learn right from wrong, and how it affects your mind and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And for temptations, we learn new ways to deal with them. So I love snacks, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So say my mom literally just brought groceries yesterday, and she bought a whole bunch of snacks. So I learned to, instead of, if I see a snack, eat some fruit first, something like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Discipline,
yeah.
Yes, excuse the interruption.
Yeah, you're right, man. It takes discipline, right? I'm a snacker. I've always loved the sweets, man, since I can remember.
That's how you get cavities.
That's how you get the cavities. Trust me. That's a whole nother financial situation down the road.
Whole nother box to open. But for me, I've liked all my teachers too. I was in the same class with him, so Mr. Brooks. It was all fun and games. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all fun and games, but when it came down to it, they knew how to pour into us, the good information and stuff like that. And when it did come to push the shove, they know what to do. Yeah. They know what to say. They know how to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I like that they was teaching us about the history of hip hop. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah.
And then I like when we did the different types of brains. It was 3. Mm-hmm. I just remember that I'm a Kuma. I forgot the other 2. Yeah. I don't remember the other 2.
The Konimitsu or something like that. I don't know. Kitsune.
So what I love about it, and you may be realizing it now, but a lot of the activities and the speakers, the vendors, the trips, a lot of it is rooted in education, right? A lot of it is rooted in metrics and objectives, right? But it has a fun component to it. What I want to know is something you've learned from the camp, from the program, that you're gonna take with you to either finish out your summer or take into the next school year?
One of the biggest things, well, like, I'm gonna say, I got like a few things I want to take from it. Well, two of the biggest things was like the ones I took for was the plug. That was something we talked about, how it was where if you talk to somebody and you that you first meet them, you want to talk about some things that you doing in your life that you want to advance in, and in saying that to them, you could they could help you out with something. They can do something that'll let you push you up higher in what you're trying to do. Another thing is self-respect. Having self-respect for yourself, so then you can respect others. That's another thing that was really, really big for me. That's something I struggled in back when I was in middle school. I did not have no self-respect. And not having self-respect, I tried to respect others. And here I am, getting in trouble and stuff, doing things I'm not supposed to be doing. And it's just not what I'm supposed to be doing, you know what I'm saying? But so, having self-respect, you respect others, you know what I'm saying?
One thing I learned was perseverance. Not giving up, not quitting, and stuff like that. So that was really big on me, and I'll take that into every day when I go to practice, football practice, when I'm doing work, when I'm cutting the grass, and I just feel like quitting or something. I also have on my wrist, it says, put first things first, so it's a big thing that helps me keep going every day when I read that. So, yeah.
And for me, study skills, I have a hard time focusing in class because people are either playing around, talking, and my attention I have a what's called low
attention span. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So we learn about study skills and to go off by yourself and study if you need to. And I'm gonna start doing that more.
Oh yeah,
George.
What I took in from what they taught us is the amount of racism that black people get. It's just what did we do to make them resent us so much? Because I don't understand. We just brown. I mean, we the color of chocolate.
Exactly.
I mean, how can you be?
That's a good thing, you know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Yeah.
But racism is kind of a big thing. And then we ain't do nothing wrong. We just us.
They stupid. Very stupid. And of course, there's good apples out there, but then you have the bad apples, and they are degrading. They words, they stick with your mind as opposed to physical. Because if you're 10 years old and somebody's racist to you, and you now 70 years old, you're gonna be like, I remember all the way back when I was 10, there was this dude who called me the N-word, and it stuck with me for 60 years, my whole life. So there you go.
It's a tough thing.
So it sounds like to me, I'm hearing a lot of acknowledgement, growth in areas like self-awareness, self-love.
Most definitely.
Positivity, resilience. How do you think the Grandmaster's program has changed you?
For me,
my bad.
For me, the biggest thing, it changed me to think less about myself, because during my before I came to this camp, I was always thinking about myself and my family. Well, not even my family most of the time, but over time when I was at this camp, I really feel as if I just gotta take more care of my family, because I won't have them forever, you know what I'm saying? It changed me to be more open-minded, more self-respect, like I said before, more self-respect, and being more open with people, you know what I'm saying? Not too open, not giving them out, too personally, you know what I'm saying? Just giving them the important information out of me, you know what I'm saying? But not, talking about,
I'm with you.
For me, just stop acting so ignorant and stupid, because ain't no reason to be acting like that. Just what Mr. Brooks said, calling people the N-word and stuff, most of the time you are not ignorant, and the person you talking to also isn't ignorant. So when you say N-I-G-G-A, you call them that, then you saying they ignorant, and it taught me not really to use that word anymore.
Some stuff I learned was to like keep pushing and to like never give up, and to always chase on your goals and your dreams, because like he was talking about the plug, you can be talking to anybody, so you should like always give a good representation of yourself.
For me, it was perseverance, focus, and like to be more positive. Like, cause when I walk in, I see all the teachers smiling, everyone's positive. That I picked up on, like I need to be more positive and have a smile sometimes, and spread love.
It's contagious, man. It's contagious. When it's authentic, when it's genuine. Like I've watched you all since the beginning, right? Like we've had some interactions, but not a whole lot, right? So I've seen, like I can attest, like I've seen the growth, the comfortability, the openness. Like I've seen it, so I know it works. And to my understanding, I believe there's talk about keeping this going throughout the school year.
Yeah, they did say some stuff about that. I ain't wrong with. I kind of like that idea. You know what I'm saying?
So that's dope. That's dope. I believe it's gonna happen here at the satellite office. So I would say I won't say if. Would you recommend this program to a friend?
Yeah.
Whether same age or younger, would you recommend it?
Yeah, because I got a friend, his name's Jakai. I met him in school. I literally was texting him saying, bro, you gotta come to this program. But his mama said maybe next year though. So, but like, he's 16, he's able to drive, but he couldn't make it.
Yeah, I already recommended this camp to some of my cousins, some of my friends. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it. I mean, it ended so quick, So hopefully they're here next year.
That's what I'm saying. It ended so fast. Like it ended so fast. Like I swear, I blinked and then we was already on the last week.
Because we're having fun.
I'm telling you, it goes quick, man.
I would definitely recommend this to like everybody. If you have nothing to do summer, and you like, still a kid, come on down, man. Come on down.
Well, I appreciate y'all for joining me today. I'm definitely going to do my part to open up the space and the opportunity with your teachers to come back, and maybe we do this throughout the school year, maybe once a month or whatever, whatever that looks like.
Thank you for having us, man. Thank you for having us. I'm glad I was here to talk with you.
I've been great, man. Appreciate y'all.